everyone, it's Keisha. Thank you so much for tuning into my YouTube channel, Keisha Delva Creative. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here for a while, thanks so much for joining me again. If you are new here, I'm a licensed mental health therapist who's passionate about all things related to travel, mental health and wellness, and financial freedom. I have a mission to encourage, inspire, and help creatives and women to make more money so that they can live out their dreams and help to make the world a better place. If you're interested in that, I highly encourage you to come back to my channel. I post new videos every single week on those topics. Today, I'm going to be talking about ways that you can learn how to control impulse spending and buying. This video is in collaboration with two amazing women, Shay Budgets and E.Michelle. They both have YouTube channels where they help people learn how to budget their finances and also how to use planners to become more productive and organized. They're really doing a lot to help other people become financially stable and financially independent, which I think is very inspiring. And in addition to that, they've both also started their own businesses. I love seeing other women start their own businesses and just help to encourage and inspire other women to do the same thing. So please check out their YouTube channels. I'm sure you'll love their content and will likely follow them just like I have. I have linked both of their channels in the description box as well as in the pinned comment in the comment section. Please go ahead and check them out right after you watch this video. I'm sure you'll love what they have to say as well. So if you're interested in the topic of ways that you can learn to control your impulse spending and buying, please keep watching. You know how if you're on a diet, you tend to look at pieces of food that you're craving that you're not supposed to be eating as part of your diet and kind of weighing how much they're going to cost you in terms of calories and how much time it's going to take you in the gym, working out to be able to burn off those calories. For example, let's say I really want a donut, and that donut is 500 calories. I'm likely going to start calculating how many minutes I'm gonna have to spend on an elliptical or a stationary bike to be able to burn those calories off. I have found that it's very helpful to do the same thing when you're considering purchasing something. So whether it's a brand new TV or a new outfit, I would encourage you to calculate how much it's going to cost you in terms of how many hours you're going to have to work to be able to pay it off. So let's say you're considering buying a new TV, and that new TV is, say, $1,000. Well, take a look at how much you get paid per hour and calculate how many hours it's actually going to cost you to buy that TV. And by considering how many hours it's going to cost you of work, you may find that you don't think it's actually all that worth it anymore. Same thing, whether it's shoes or whether it's a getaway vacation that you haven't planned for but spontaneously want to go on. Think about how many hours of work it's going to cost you to be able to pay for it. Similarly to my first example, the same way that it isn't recommended to go grocery shopping when you're tired or hungry or upset because you tend to use buying more food to kind of soothe and satisfy those emotions, you also shouldn't go shopping when you're hungry, tired, or otherwise emotionally upset. A lot of people tend to use shopping as a form of therapy. I'm sure you've heard the term retail therapy. It's important to avoid putting yourself in situations such as going online or going to the mall or other shopping strips when you know that you are tired, hungry, or upset, because you're that much more likely to buy things that you really don't need and gain some sort of instant gratification to soothe yourself when chances are you're likely going to regret spending that money later on. I would also highly encourage you to unsubscribe from retail emails. So usually we will sign up for a newsletter or email list of some kind when we're at the mall, and the cashier will say, "Oh, well, have you signed up for a newsletter? Sign up now, you get 25% off, which you can apply to the purchase that you're making today." And then we kind of fall trap into signing up for those newsletters so that we get that discount in the moment. And then we become bombarded with emails telling us that this store has 25% off here or 50% off here or a special sale there. And when these emails pop up in our inbox, we see them and we think that we're getting a great deal on some item that we really don't need. We feel encouraged to start shopping because we think we're actually doing a good thing by saving money. But realistically, we're actually spending more money than we really would have spent if we had never seen that email. So if you are on a lot of marketing lists for retailers, I would highly encourage you to just click that unsubscribe button, because you're going to be a lot less likely to be tempted to shop on an impulsive basis. There's a saying that we are basically the sum of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. So I would encourage you to take a look at the people that you tend to spend the most time with and that you tend to talk to a lot. If they are people who maybe earn more money than you, and so they're able to spend more money, and they kind of put you in situations where you feel pressured to spend more money too, or maybe they actually don't have enough money to be able to shop as much as they do, but they tend to shop often, I would encourage you to try to locate and network with other people who are more financially conscious and more financially stable, especially because when you're in moments where you start to feel that weakness and start to feel like you want to shop or spend money that you don't have, you can turn to them and lean on them for support and guidance, and they'll give you that dose of reality that you need to remind you that you're about to purchase something that you don't need or spend money that you don't have, and they'll kind of help to bring you back to reality, which is really important. I would highly encourage you, if you haven't already, to create a monthly budget. This is important for a couple of different reasons. One, if you don't create a budget, you may fall into the trap of thinking that you actually have a lot more disposable income than you really do. By creating a budget and allocating where every single dollar that's coming into your bank account is going, you know exactly how much you have to work with every single month. You know how much is needed for all of your bills, you know how much is needed for savings, and you also know how much money you have for personal spending or a clothing budget. And so if you restrict yourself in that way and knowing that you're only allocated to spending X amount of dollars on clothes each month, then you're a lot more likely to stick to that budget because every other dollar already has a place where it's going. So you're probably not going to actively pull money out of, say, your budget for rent or your budget for groceries if you know that that money has already been allocated to those areas. Another good reason why it's important to create a budget is that it gives you something to work towards. So let's say you enjoy fashion and you really like shopping for clothes. Well, if you want to invest in a quality piece of clothing, you'll find that you probably appreciate that item of clothing much more if it's something that you're actually working towards earning over a period of time versus just going out and purchasing it right off the bat. We tend to appreciate and place value into things that we put more effort into. And it feels good to be able to work hard, invest time and energy, and end up with something tangible that we can give ourselves as a reward. By budgeting, not only are you helping yourself to remain financially responsible by knowing where all of your money is going, you're also kind of establishing a little mini reward system where you're working towards earning something that you would really like and will ultimately have more value and more meaning to you because you had to put effort into obtaining it. Wherever possible, use cash. So we live in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on credit card systems. And while this is great for a lot of reasons, because it's certainly very convenient in a lot of instances, it also leads us to spend more money, especially if we're using credit cards, because credit cards is money that we don't necessarily have. And so when we swipe and purchase things, we don't give a lot of thought to how we're going to be able to pay that back in the future, especially because we're not having to spend our actual real money in that moment. We don't necessarily have to think about it until the next billing cycle, so that can lead to irresponsible spending. But if we are consciously taking out cash from the bank and limiting ourselves to spending based on how much physical cash that we have, we may find that we are a lot less likely to want to part with that cash, because spending cash feels a lot more real than swiping a card. We're a lot more conscious of that money passing from our hand into another person's hand compared to a credit card, which we just swipe and we get to put back into our purses or wallets. So it doesn't really feel like we're losing anything in that moment. I would highly encourage you, if you're someone who has trouble controlling your spending due to frequent and excessive credit card use, to start implementing maybe a cash only system, especially when you go out shopping, because then you're literally restricted to how much cash you have with you. You can't buy something if you don't have the cash to purchase it with. This next tip is related to creating a budget in some ways, but I highly encourage you to spend time on a regular basis updating your financial goals and updating your life goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years, or maybe even the next 20 years? What kind of house do you want to be living in? What kind of car do you want to be driving? What kind of education do you want to be able to provide for your children? Are you someone who wants to be able to see the world one day? Do you want to be able to invest in charities and other philanthropic endeavors? If these things are important to you in any way, shape, or form, they're going to require a lot of planning, some in the short term and some in the long term, to be able to accomplish. And by setting those financial goals, updating them regularly, and looking at them regularly, you are reminding yourself that you do have a mission in life, you have a purpose in life that is greater than whatever object you're considering purchasing in this moment. So again, write your goals down. Big goals, small goals, short-term goals, long-term goals, and look at them regularly to help you keep your impulse spending in check. And when you are tempted to buy something that you don't need, learn to ask yourself questions in the moment. Questions like, is this really more important than me being able to put aside another $100 in my child's college fund? Is this really more important than me being able to put another $100 into my travel fund so that I can accomplish my lifelong dream of being able to visit Asia? Or is this pair of shoes really more important than me being able to put aside another $100 to save for my future or to save for my retirement? Learning to ask yourself questions like that can really start to put things in check. I cannot stress this enough, but it's really important that we are practicing self-care on a regular basis. I think because of the media, people can have a very skewed perception of what self-care looks like. A lot of people might see it as going to get expensive massages or going to really expensive spas or spending money in other ways. But I highly encourage you to think of self-care in small, simple steps as well. It can be spending money to get a massage, but it can also be taking some quiet time to meditate or to read a book or to spend quality time with people that you love, or maybe even going to talk to a therapist. By investing in self-care on a regular basis, we keep our stress levels down, and we're a lot less likely to use shopping as a form of coping with things that are upsetting us, bothering us, or stressing us out. This may be especially pertinent if you're someone who tends to do a lot of impulse shopping for things that people would typically designate as self-care practices. So if you're putting massages on your credit card, or going to get expensive facials or manicures and pedicures, you may kind of rationalize it and say, oh, well, I'm doing something that I need to do to be able to reduce my stress. And that's absolutely valid. It's important to engage in activities that are therapeutic to you and reduce your stress. But if you can't really afford to be engaging in those activities, it's really important to investigate how you can have similar results for less money. For example, maybe taking a bubble bath at home, or giving yourself a facial at home, or learning how to give yourself a manicure, pedicure at home will produce very similar results and similar feelings of relaxation and rejuvenation, but for a lot less money than you would be spending by having another person do it for you. Impulse shopping is a function of our subconscious. We have our conscious mind, which has thoughts that we are aware of, and then we have our subconscious mind, which actually controls a lot of our behaviors without us even realizing it. So whereas our conscious mind might be a lot more logical and rational, our subconscious mind is tied to a lot of our impulse behaviors. Take some time to educate yourself on why you might be engaging in impulse shopping. What is it about impulse shopping that makes you feel better? Where did you learn along the way at different points in your life that shopping was a valid form of being able to address issues such as anxiety or depression or relationship issues? Maybe you saw your parents buying each other gifts whenever they had a really big fight to make up with one another. Or maybe you learned along the way that when you give someone a lot of money, it shows that you really care about them. And so you find yourself spending a lot of money that you don't have to make your significant other or your friends feel special. When we start to investigate the underlying reasons as to why we are spending lots of money, why we're going shopping as much as we do, we can start to gain control over our actions and learn how to make healthier alternative choices. Incorporate a daily gratitude practice of some kind. What I've been doing lately is taking my journal and writing down what I appreciated about that particular day. My question prompt that I write in my journal is, what was good about today? And I find something about every single day to be appreciative for and grateful for. Even if that day overall wasn't a great day, maybe a lot of things went wrong, I try to kind of look at the silver lining of that day and find the lesson that I can learn within that day. I think that when we make gratitude a regular practice, we tend to have a more positive, more optimistic outlook on life overall. And when we become grateful for what we already have, we're a lot less likely to feel the need to go out and obtain more and more and more things. Practicing gratitude helps us to realize that more does not equal better. And lastly, I would encourage you to really examine and perhaps redefine your definition of entertainment. A lot of people feel that they tend to go shopping because they feel bored and there isn't really anything else to do. Maybe if you're used to falling into a routine of going to the mall every weekend and that's just kind of what you do, I encourage you to step outside of your comfort zone and explore new activities that you can engage in to help redefine what your idea of fun is. So if you're spending a lot of time shopping on your computer or at the mall, maybe spend more time outdoors in nature. Maybe if you tend to go to the mall with your best friends, invite your friends to do something else. Invite them to maybe have a picnic in the park, or maybe invite them to come over for dinner. Really examine your routine activities and find ways that you can incorporate new, fresh ideas to kind of break up your habits. And that way you're not consistently relying on the same old thing of going to the mall and going shopping every single weekend. That's it, everyone. Those are all the tips that I have for you today on ways that you can work on controlling your impulse spending. And I want to add a note that if you find yourself shopping to the point where you're starting to do yourself a lot of harm, you're harming your relationships, you're not paying your bills on time, you're not paying your rent, you're letting people down around you because you continue to make mistakes and go back on your word, you really may want to consider consulting with a mental health professional who can help you examine your behaviors more deeply, help you get to the root of the origin of the problem, and help you have concrete, actionable ways of being able to treat that issue. Sometimes hearing tips like these aren't enough for a person's particular situation, and if that's the case for you, know that it's perfectly okay to reach out to someone for help, whether that's a mental health expert or a financial planner or anything along those lines, who can help guide you by providing some extra expertise. Be sure to check out Shay Budgets and E.Michelle's videos on this exact same topic. They have a lot of great information that you can apply to your day-to-day life as well. If you like what you saw today and you found it helpful, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like the video and comment down below. I really want to know, do any of you out there have any issues with controlling your impulse spending? And if you have any practical helpful tips that I haven't mentioned in the video already, please be sure to comment down below so that other people can see your tips and be able to apply them as well. Please share the video with anyone that you think might find it helpful, and be sure to tune in next week for another brand new video from me on the topics of mental health and wellness, financial freedom, and also using that freedom to be able to do things you enjoy. I personally love to travel, so that's something that I engage in regularly. Follow me on Instagram to follow my travel adventures as well. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you all very soon. Take care. Bye.